and CIAC. After much consideration and consultation, the CIAC has made the difficult decision to cancel all remaining CIAC Winter Tournament games. The CIAC understands and appreciates the disappointment that student athletes, parents, coaches, and administrators may feel as a result of this decision. However, we must always place the health and safety of our student athletes first. Due to continuing concerns regarding the spread of COVID-19, the responses from local school districts and third-party venues have varied greatly. Some districts have informed us that they can no longer participate in our tournaments. Others have informed us that they can continue to participate without any fans in attendance. Still others have communicated that they can participate with less than 100 people in attendance. Additionally, we have been notified by several of our third-party and neutral site venues that they can no longer host our events. Given the great variety of information that our districts are receiving from their local departments of health and from declining resources to hold neutral site games, we feel that it's important that the CIAC give direction to our schools regarding the logistics of athletics. The CIAC, again, with always placing the interest of our students first, feel at this time the best use of our membership's time is to focus on the educational needs of our students. There are a lot of unknowns that still exist about COVID-19 within Connecticut. This has just begun here, and so we don't know exactly how far this will spread. But when we consider the best action that we can take to address the needs of our schools, we feel that we should give them the opportunity at this point to focus on the educational needs of our students. We understand at this time that schools have used delayed opening schedules or other methods to discuss distance learning, as well as other options in the event that schools need to close. And that's where those attentions should be. At the CIAC, we pride ourselves in being an education-based athletic experience for kids. We do the best we can to provide our kids with those exceptional experiences. And it's difficult to say to seniors and to others that they won't have the opportunity to finish these tournaments. But we do believe it is what is in the best interest of all of our membership and the schools in Connecticut to have that directive from us. We appreciate everybody coming out today, and I'm happy to take any questions that I can from you.
Glenn, what happened between yesterday when you posted that press release, the updated press release, and today to make this decision?
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, the press release that we sent out yesterday that we were moving forward with the tournaments, we clarified in there as well that this would be a day-to-day decision and that we would be reevaluating. From the beginning of this week, we had set with our staff a standing 9 a.m. meeting to review information that we have, as well as guidance that was coming in from the governor's office and the State Department of Education. I would also at this time like to again just thank the Commissioner of Education, Miguel Cardona, who has done an exceptional job communicating with CAS as well as other educational associations, and for the inclusion yesterday on the governor's phone call at 5 o'clock with state leaders yesterday. And hearing the discussions from superintendents that were on that call, as well as members of the Department of Public Health, and taking those factors into consideration at today's 9 a.m. meeting with our staff, we felt it was best to give this direction to our schools.
Was there new information you received, though, overnight?
The newest information was that the varying responses from local departments of health of how to apply the guidance from the governor's office regarding events with less than 100 people. And you know, again, everything that's been shared thus far from the governor's office and to my understanding from the State Department of Education are guidelines and guidance. None of that was directives of what to do. When we consider that, you know, we're dealing with 180 plus member schools, and they're all relying on guidance from their local districts, that at times can place our membership at conflicts. For example, we may have one school heading to a tournament game where their local Department of Health says it's okay to have less than 100 people. We may have the school that they're playing say you can't play an event if there's any fans in attendance. And so, you know, that there's that possibility for for conflicting guidelines. That's where we felt it was important for us to take the initiative of give a directive of how to handle this for our schools. So shutting down in our tournaments we saw as the clear direction and guideline that was in the best interest and places the focus on the students' educational needs where it should be at this time.
There are a lot of angry people right now. Glenn, what would you stress to them, or what would you say to them about this unprecedented move by this organization?
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. I know, again, I don't think anything brings out the emotion more in people than athletics. And I think it's one of the great values of athletics that we have is we are able to tie in to those emotions with people. And for our student athletes, that's what drives them to make really meaningful relationships with their coaches, their peers, and others even on other teams. It's that emotion that drives that. And so when you are put in a situation that you're told you can't play, we certainly respect and understand that those hurt feelings and those emotions of anger are going to be there. What we need to do is try to keep the perspective of what our opportunities in education-based sports are about. And while playing for a state championship is certainly something that people always strive for at the end, when we think about the value of education-based athletic, it truly lies in developing those relationships and having those times together that creates a connection to school and community. None of our student athletes have lost that, and they have all gained those. And, again, what exists today may change by the end of the day. We don't know how this is going to impact us within Connecticut. What may seem as a very bold and unprecedented move right now, by the end of today or tomorrow, may very well be the direction that comes, depending on how many more cases are confirmed within Connecticut. So we certainly appreciate those emotions that people are feeling, and we respect that. But again, we do believe that this is what is best for all of our schools and communities throughout Connecticut right now.
Any thoughts towards spring yet, or we haven't even crossed that bridge yet?
We've crossed it. At this time, we are not changing anything with spring. With spring, we will have pitchers and catchers that are starting, which is minimal people at best who are going to be participating, so we're not touching that. And at this time, I don't have any guidance regarding outdoor activities. So the big difference that I think we see between the winter and the spring is boys volleyball is the only spring sport that is held indoors. And we're more than a month away from games in that. So at this point, we are not restricting the start of spring ports. Those are all in outside venues, but we will continue to speak with the Department of Health and the State Department of Education to see if any further guidance comes forward on those events. And that would probably also be impacted if schools decide to close.
Glenn, were there schools that came forward and specifically said, we are going to forfeit going forward?
There are several school districts that came forward and said they want to play.
Or?
We were notified of the first yesterday, that they would play yesterday, but if they won moving forward, they wouldn't. And there were a few others that have joined that today that they would not be able to play moving forward.
How seriously were you considering no fans throughout the rest of these tournaments?
We had a great, long discussion about that this morning to look at that. But again, as we had that discussion, what we quickly realized is that guidance was varying from local district to local district, where some could play with no fans, some could play with 100 fans or less. Some don't have any, restriction yet. And I think the difficult choice for us as well is to consider, the decision we're making while there's also, colleges and universities making decisions. So, UConn may still be playing games. The NCAA, may still be playing games. But, again, we are focused and concerned with what gives the clearest direction to our member schools, and the clearest direction that we can give is to make this move as a state. Okay, Lori?
So, gymnastics is happening this weekend in New England. Are you going to not let people go to the New England?
That conversation we'll have to have with the New England Council and the executive director of New England's. We haven't had that conversation yet, but dance is also in that scenario. The venues where dance was supposed to be held informed New England's that they couldn't hold it. I think that we'll see with some of those New England championships the same type of thing happening, but I haven't had an opportunity to speak with the executive director of the New England Council yet. We'll be doing that this afternoon.
Are those the only two sports that are impacted for New England?
I believe so. I think everything else is, I don't know if the open wrestling, does anybody know if the New England wrestling is done? Wrestling's done, yeah. Swimming, the swimming championships as well, yeah. So it'll be gymnastics, dance, and swimming, so.
You mentioned the different venues stepped forward and said they couldn't host. I mean, Ingles Rink and Webster and other places, Mohegan Sun, I mean, are those the facilities that approached you?
Yeah, now we're looking at, we start holding neutral site games from our quarterfinals and on, and those include both local schools and high schools as well as colleges, universities. I would say that they have all been very open to discussions as well with us. We have been in constant communication the last day or two with Yale. Mohegan Sun has just been phenomenal to work with and talk through this with. So again, none of this was made because of any direction from one group, and some of those groups were willing to continue to stay open. Some of those were willing to try to find ways to host without fans there, but it's really trying to provide clear direction for all when you have so many different points of view that led us to this decision.
How many games were left that were scheduled that are now canceled?
That's a big number. I don't know the exact number of games, but I can tell you our hockey and boys basketball tournaments are all in the first round. So there's a lot of games left to be played there. Our girls basketball tournament in one side of the bracket, we are done with the quarterfinals, but in the other side of the bracket, we're at the quarterfinals. And boys swimming, we have not held a divisional meet yet. So there were a lot of events that were left to be played, and the likelihood of getting to those championships next week and next weekend, are probably slim when you consider the guidance that's coming from the governor and the State Department at this point.
And no reviews later on? Are you guys talking about rescheduling anything for later on?
We're not thinking of rescheduling for the winter tournaments at this point. We do think that we'll lose some of that momentum. We have so many athletes in Connecticut that are multi-sport athletes, which is great to see, and a lot of those will be on to their spring teams and spring seasons. So to try to fit those tournaments in while at the same time playing spring sports would be very difficult. We did get some brief consideration to the end of the year, in June, but same thing. At that point, I think you have people that are playing with outside organizations and AAU teams and club teams that there would just be too many conflicts to make it logistically possible. Thanks.
How many students do you think student athletes are affected?
That's a good question. We have in basketball, again, boys basketball, thinking just starting that tournament. So, with about figuring about 12 kids per team, and boys basketball, you have a pretty significant number there. Same thing with with swimming. I mean, you have swim teams that could have over 100 kids on the swim teams. Having that swim practice might exceed the 100-person requirement. So, girls basketball, we're down a little bit because that tournament starts a little bit sooner. So being in the semis in one bracket and in the quarters of another, there's not as many in girls basketball who are affected. But it's a significant number of student athletes that unfortunately won't have that opportunity to see that season complete the way that maybe they hoped it would.
You talked to the governor?
I was part of the governor's phone call last night, but I have not had any individual conversations with the governor or the governor's office. No.
What was his take on the phone
It was really just an update about what is happening within the state, how the response team is working at this point, and the best guidance around athletics was for school districts to work with their local departments of public health to take their guidance on it. Yeah, and I think Jeff, have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, hey, one, I know you addressed this generally, but it struck me for the girls and boys who are seniors that this is their final time around. It's got to be a particularly painful day. Could you speak directly to those young women and men?
Sure. And again, we certainly understand and appreciate the emotion that sports brings, and do take into account that there are seniors that we're looking forward to that last game, looking forward to making that run to the championship, and to them they certainly get hit with news now that they're not going to have the ability to do that. And we respect and understand how difficult that can be for those student athletes as well as their parents and others. But again, to them, I would encourage them to think about what they have been able to accomplish and what they have been able to realize, not only this year but throughout their playing career. And oftentimes when you look back on this, it's rare that you look back on, I think, a specific moment or championship. I think you look back and what you appreciate down the road is the relationships that you've developed and those times that you've shared with your peers and your friends. I say that from a standpoint of I was fortunate enough to win a national championship in college playing baseball for Eastern Connecticut State University. And when I think back at the times and the best times that I had on that, it's not necessarily the championship that I remember the most, but it's the practices, it's the time that I spent with my teammates. So, as they look back on this in the future, I think they will appreciate that more. But certainly today, I understand that emotion and that impact to feel that was taken from them.
Is this unprecedented? Have you guys done anything more unprecedented?
To my knowledge, we have not canceled a tournament in the past. We'll be celebrating our centennial celebration next year. So, I'm not sure if, looking back of 100 years of CIAC in times of war, conflict, things like that, if there was ever a suspension to athletic events, there may have been, but I would say this at this time is unprecedented, and not truly understanding and knowing the extent to which COVID-19 exists in Connecticut, as well as what that impact can be.
Did you look to other states at all to see what they were doing?
We did speak with other state associations to see, and in Connecticut, we're running a little bit later than others. A lot of the states around us are either completing their championships this week, completed them last week, or so they're in positions that they were able to get things done without the concern of this. There are some states around us as well that go a little bit longer than we are, and they are in constant communication with their state association, their state departments of ed, as we are. To my knowledge, to this point, we're the first state that has canceled our tournaments as a result of this. But again, my concern in looking at it is meeting the needs of our membership and who we serve here in Connecticut, and doing what we feel is in the best interest of our kids. Anything further?
I know you're not sure about the spring games yet, but when would that start? When would the spring games start up?
So the practices for the spring season, they start as early as Saturday with pitchers and catchers for baseball starting Saturday. Practices will begin within the next 2 weeks for all spring sports. And I believe the first date of competition for spring sports is around April 4th or 5th, and somewhere in that first week of April.
So is that gonna be a day-to-day decision, whether or not you're still gonna have those practices?
It'll be something that we review, I would say, on a weekly basis right now. Looking forward, we're not going to ask schools to not have practices at this point. We're going to leave that to local school decisions. But as we come closer to the start of the season, I think we do need to evaluate if any schools have shut down, how that impacts players being ready from a physical standpoint. We do have guidelines of the number of practice days that student athletes have to participate in before they can play in their first contest. So we would need to look at how schools have been able to meet that standard before playing, and whether any adjustments would need to be made to games or game schedules. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Tim Jensen. Quick question, Glenn. I know it's not CIAC sanctioned, but is it safe to assume the girls' ice hockey semifinals and finals will also be canceled due to this?
As you said, we don't sanction that, so we don't have any authority over that at this point. So that would be up to local schools or to the group that handles girls hockey. But we don't sanction it, so we don't have any control over that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you for coming out on short notice. We appreciate the response of you to allow us to get this message out to our membership, as well as the parents and athletes in Connecticut. And if we could be of any further assistance in helping provide answers to you, please feel free to contact us in the future. Thank you.